Let's begin by taking a snapshot of the Godburn family in May of 1915. There were 9 people living in the 2 rooms of the downstairs flat at number 68, and there were only 2 rooms, not 2 bedrooms, just 2 rooms. And how they managed that situation is anybody's guess. I suppose that one room would be the kitchen and the living room, and the other would serve as a sleeping area for all the family. There was an outside toilet, or netty as it was called, and there was a water tap in the yard. Inside water, as my dad told me, came much later in the early 30s or the late 20s. And at that time it was considered to be the wonder of the age. The 9 people living at number 68 were my great-grandfather Fred Godburn and my great-grandmother Eliza, both at that time in their early 40s. Then there was Christina Jane, or Chrissy, who was 13 years old. Then Amelia, or Mealy, who was 11 years old. Annie was then 8 years old, and John was 4 years old. Added to that was the baby Frederick, who was then just over 1 year old and was their young brother. My grandmother Phoebe was the oldest of the children, and she was then 21 and had just given birth a month earlier to an illegitimate daughter who was called Wilhelmina Rutherford Godburn. And she was so named just to tell the world that the father of the child was one William Rutherford. But more of that later. By the end of 1915, this number had been reduced to 7 following the deaths of the 2 babies, Wilhelmina in August and Frederick in October. The following year, in 1916, Phoebe was to marry my grandfather Tom Mole, whose name I inherited, and Phoebe moved out, which lowered the number living at 68 Conyers Road to a barely manageable 6.